Today's session is Tips and Tricks for Fiery Command Workstation. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Greta Conlon, Product Owner for Fiery Command Workstation. Greta will take us through our presentation. So without further delay, Greta, please take it away.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name's Greta. So yes, I'm the Product Owner for Command Workstation, and you might be wondering what that is. It means that apart from being a leader for the team, Product Owner also is the voice of the customer. So I get to speak with a lot of end users. I get to see people using our technology and our software in the field. And also I spend a lot of time speaking with people, hopefully like yourself, interacting, training people, so we can find out what is best required for to make Command Workstation a better product in the field. So without further ado, I will begin. So we're going to look today at who uses Command Workstation and why, how to make Command Workstation work for you, and we'll look at different ways to manage jobs, different ways to apply settings, quicker ways to print jobs, and we'll do a deeper dive and show you some hidden gems inside that you might not have seen before. So target users. So we actually have personas in a house, meaning these are fake people. These are people representing operators. So Command Workstation is really about the production operators. And we've got these two characters here, Kyle and Neil, who represent some of the operator types that we see in the field. Kyle is very much an entry-level operator. Kyle may be working in a big franchisee, for example, or maybe even as a summer job while he's at college. So won't have had so much training on the Fiery, but he's very eager to learn and mostly accepting jobs from people coming in with like a USB stick or something like that, printing out their booklets or their calendar or poster, that sort of thing. Then you've got Neil. Neil's on the other end of the scale. Neil's a production manager. He may have started off as a Kyle, but he's way down the track now, and he's usually self-taught. Neil looks after everything from the printers to the network, the computers, the Macs, whatever. And Neil can be found in many places, right from the print for pay, but also in in-plant CRDs. So we're talking large corporations, universities, government sites, and in commercial print shops we find Neil-type personas. Trade shops, digital, print for pay, those sorts of environments. So we keep these customers, and in fact many other personas as well, in mind when we're designing our software. But Command Workstation, we focus on these two the most. So why Fiery Command Workstation? So it's an industry-leading and award-winning print job management interface. You can control multiple Fiery servers from multiple stations. You can keep the same familiar interface as well, regardless of the print engine's brand. You could go out and buy another brand of engine tomorrow with a Fiery controller, and your operators or your users won't have to be retrained on how to use the software because it's still Command Workstation, still the same familiar interface over the years. And we have, of course, the support for the latest Apple, Mac, and Microsoft Windows platforms. And backwards compatibility means that we bring free enhancements for your current Fiery servers. So every time we release a new web release, a new applications package online, we actually put in free features that will work for Fieries already in the field. So you could have a Fiery as old as System 8R2. That could be a 5 or 6-year-old Fiery, and you get brand new features every time we do a web release that can help enhance your productivity. Hence, we encourage you to always use the latest version that we put online. So, as far as that online posting goes, we've already had over 100,000 downloads, which is fantastic, and we're expecting quite a lot more of this current latest release of the applications package. So we're very happy with that, we're very proud about that, and we look forward to bringing you even more features in the next release soon. So we'll look at how to make Command Workstation work for you. So you can actually customize Command Workstation. You can customize the toolbar, the panes, columns, that sort of thing. So I'll take you through a few of those items. So, in Command Workstation, the first thing is we've got a big toolbar up the top, which many people don't realize can be customized. So here, I can add icons. Like I use Impose all the time, so I'm going to add that up into the toolbar. I can add separators to put things into little groups as well if I like to, so that I can group them logically for me. And I use process and hold, or rip and hold all the time. So I'm going to chuck that out there, as well as maybe archive as well. You can see I'm starting to run out of space as well. I'm going to put in another separator. And then if I wanted to put even more, I could actually choose just to show the icons, right? So you can see here the text goes away, and now I can fit a whole lot more, or I can use small icons if you want to, and you can put the text back on as well. I prefer large icons and text myself personally, but it's all up to you. make it work for you. You can also customize the column showing in Command Workstation. You can minimize the server pane too. You can minimize job summary. So this is if you want more real estate to be able to see more columns in Command Workstation. So columns in your job list. You can minimize the processing and printing just by double-clicking on those areas. Right, so it gives you more real estate so that now you can have a lot more jobs showing. You can have a lot more columns showing. And to customize the columns, just right-click on this column toolbar. You can see we have a standard set, but you can really add a whole lot of different things. So I'm interested in adding instructions because I'm trying to teach my operators to put instructions into the Fiery notes. So you can see here, I've added the instructions column, and now I can see exactly who's using it. And I'm also going to add paper catalog because I use paper catalog all the time. So I can see exactly which paper catalog entries are being used right now. And you can sort by that column. So I'm clicking on the top of the column to sort, and now I can see all of the entries using a particular paper catalog item. You can move around your columns as well. To remove a column, just drag it off the toolbar. So you can see there it just disappears. And you can customize in the printed queue. A lot of people like to add the timestamp done printing. So this shows you when jobs were last printed as opposed to the default sorting, which is the time that the jobs were imported. So that's just customizing columns and things like that within Command Workstation. Again, make the interface work for you. Leave some room for the columns that you wish to display. And if you've just spent some time customizing these columns, you've got it all set up, I do recommend that you close the application once because we actually save those columns at the time you exit the application. And if you're like me and you tend to leave things running in the background, put your laptop to sleep and run home with it and that sort of thing, you might forget to close the application and they may not be saved. So after you've customized, close it once and then you're good to go. Okay. We're also going to look at applying settings to jobs. So presets. So we've got presets local and server. Now server presets are only for system 10 and higher. You can also drag and drop into your presets and virtual printers. We'll look at the quick access tab, the job summary, and some inline editing. So I mentioned presets are only on system 10 and higher. If you're not sure what version your Fiery is, just simply go into Device Center under General Info, and then here, the Fiery system there is the version. So we support from Command Workstation down to System 8 Release 2, that's the oldest one, right up to FS150 Pro, which is the most recent one out there. And of course we encourage you to always use the most recent version of Command Workstation you can get your hands on, which will be the one on the web usually. Okay, so I'll show you some tricks in here. So you may be aware that Command Workstation fully supports dragging and dropping. So I'm going to drag a file in. I can drag it to hold, just to hold the job. Processing, so I can just rip and hold the job. So I'm just going to release it. The job instantly goes to rip and hold. And if I want to just print, I'll drag straight onto printing as well. Right? But you may not know you can drag onto the server pane. Now the beauty of this is that this brings up the import dialog, allowing you to specify the workflow or settings to apply to the job on the way in. So I'm going to apply a booklet A4 setting to this job. I could also apply virtual printers. So that's great for people who have Fieries older than System 10. They can create virtual printers and apply settings from those. And I can apply a job action, such as print and hold on the way in. So now the job's being imported. I'm applying a booklet preset to the job, and I'm going to print and hold the job so I can check a copy before committing to the final run. So it's an easy way to club together multiple things at once, import, applying settings. And you can do it with a whole folder of files. So I'm dragging a folder here. See, I can simply select the preset, and now I'm going to rip and hold. That's it. So it's a very fast way to bring in new jobs and to apply multiple things. Now, I understand that not everybody wants to drag and drop. Some people like it, some people don't. However, you can always use the toolbar icon up the top to import the job. Right? So some people prefer using those large icons, by all means. So we can import the job via that. And in this case, you'll have to tell it and browse to where your job is. So I'm just going to select the PDF from my desktop. And then you can, of course, bring it in, apply a preset or whatever. You can also do a hotkey, so Control-I. I just press that, or Command-I on the Mac brings up the import dialog. Or if you're really old school, you can select File, Import Job. So just another way to get to that same dialog to be able to set settings, put settings on a job, a preset or virtual printer, and a job action all at once. Now, talking about speeding things up and doing things at once, in job properties, you may not be aware we have a tab called Quick Access. Now, Quick Access allows you to put your most frequently used settings all in one place. Right, so you can see under finishing, for example, I can add stapling because I use that every day. And you can even put things in different order. So I use color mode a lot, so I'm going to put that right up the top. So there you go. So you can see now, this is my Quick Access tab with the settings that I use. So I've had many people come to me and say, how can I put all my favorite settings in one place? That's how to do it. And of course, in here, you can also apply your server presets inside job properties as well. And you can apply job actions. So for this job, it's already ribbed. I have a choice of proof, print, or print and delete. But those actions will vary depending on the state of the job. So you can do that. I can select proof print here. The job instantly is sent to proof print, which prints one copy and then holds the job, so that I can check it before, again, committing to the final print run. So it's much faster than closing the job and then making a separate job action on top of print or proof print, for example. Now, you can also open multiple jobs in Command Workstation at the same time. I'm just doing a shift click in order to open multiples and select properties. And once inside job properties, you can look at the summary tab to compare the settings of those jobs. So in this case, I'm looking at 4 jobs, and some of them have different settings. I know that one of them is working out all right, and the other ones aren't. You can see here that it's because paper sizes are different. That's a very obvious one. I could go and manually edit all of these paper sizes, or I could just apply a preset. So that makes it very, very simple. Apply the preset, done. Okay. And now all of the settings have been applied to all of the jobs at the same time. Now, I hope that you saw our previous workflow session, which of course went into great detail about creating and working with server presets and virtual printers as well. There's also a feature you may not be aware of, and that is that we added some inline editing capabilities to the Job Center so that you can just click on, for example, a job name. See, I've clicked it, it's gone into edit mode, and I normally say final or something like that, or do not delete, so that you can, without having to do anything else, you can just type over the top. Same with copies. So I'm going to change it to 50 copies, and then just throw it to print. All right, so it's, again, another way to do things quickly. You don't have to keep opening job properties, closing job properties, that sort of thing. And you can apply your workflows inline too. So you can see the little arrow showing a pull down. So that shows me all of my workflows available, my server presets, my virtual printers, and you can apply them inline to the job automatically. So again, it's just another way to save you time. Put settings on your jobs on the way in, and then you can also apply them inline while they're inside the job center. So as you saw, apply workflows and job actions on import, dragging and dropping if you like, or there's other methods. Customize the Quick Access tab. Use the job summary for job properties to compare multiple jobs, and you can use inline editing of the copies, job title, and workflows columns. So just ways to speed up what you're doing inside Command Workstation. Now, finding jobs. This may seem fairly obvious, but we've added 2 features around finding jobs in Command Workstation, and there's a good reason for that. Is that when we've been talking to users in the field and people on our Fiery forums, we find that people often have hundreds or thousands of jobs in the whole queue of the Fiery. Right? They tend to be using this as a sort of storage method, storage place. So in which case it becomes tricky to find their jobs. So I'll show you these 2 features to make that easier for you. So I've only got just under 200 jobs in here, but just you can imagine that this could be 1,000 or 2,000 jobs. Okay, so today, people usually do click to sort, right? So we see people clicking by date, time, clicking by job title to be able to, then go to the most recent or, whatever. But now you can actually type in that top field, that filter field, and sort by any criteria you want. So I'm typing by username, and if there's a pull down, I can pull it down to display a list, so I can see just the jobs that I've used. And you can use any combination of columns as well, right? So I could be looking by a certain paper catalog entry, because I know this is loaded, and now I can select all of those jobs to print right now while that paper is loaded in the tray. So it's a very quick way to deal with a lot of jobs sitting in the queue and be able to find exactly what you need right away. It's available in the held queue and the printed queue. You see here in printed, I can start typing and it shows me anything there. And you can clear the filter over here. See, I'm clicking on clear filter, and it takes away all the filters that have been applied, so you go back to viewing everything that's in that queue at that time. Right? We also apply the filters per Fiery connected and also per session, so that if you get lost and you've forgotten how to clear your filters, you could always close Command Workstation and open again. And we also made filter views available in the job log too. So the job log, again, is another big list of jobs. And so you can select, and I want to see just jobs, for example, printed by a certain user. I can see that Istvan has printed 3 jobs, whereas, let's say, David has printed 11 jobs, right? So you can easily see all of your jobs and sort very quickly. Maybe I want to see how many copies of a certain job, type FGS job, was printed, right? So a very, very quick way to be able to find everything you need in the Fiery. And remember, that clear filter button on the right-hand side is how to get rid of all the filters, even if they're off the screen at the time. They may be scrolled over to the right. Now, filter views is great for just one view, but however, this search function up in the top right-hand corner allows you to find jobs anywhere in all the Firies that are connected at that time. Right? So I typed in FGS, and it meant out of my 3 Firies connected, it found all of the jobs matching that. Now I can click on one of those jobs in the list. The last one is the one I was after, FGS VDP booklets. And I found that it's on Fiery 1 at the moment. So this is great if you've forgotten where you've left your job, by the way. So now you can simply click on Locate Item, and it's going to take you directly to the job. So I'll click on Locate Item now, and it takes you directly to that Fiery's view and highlights that particular job that I had already selected. So now I can go to that job, print the job, do whatever I want with the job. So it's a very fast way to find jobs across all of your Firies. I'll do it once more so you can see, here's my job, Locate Item. It swaps my view to that Fiery FS150, and now it shows me exactly that item already selected inside the whole queue. So that's 2 different ways to find your jobs. Inside one view, filtered views, like inside the Held tab, you can start typing in the columns at the top. And if you want to look across all your Firies, use the search box up in the right-hand corner, and this will show you everything that you've got across all of the Firies currently connected to Command Workstation. Okay, now, if you've got multiple Fiery servers, then you can actually send jobs between the Fiery servers using Command Workstation. If one printer is down, you can move the job to a different Fiery, and it keeps the job ticket with the job, and it keeps the raster as well if it's going to an identical Fiery server and printer combination. So, I'll show you how that works. So here, for example, I'm taking a manual, and I'm going to send it to my other Fiery, because this one's down at the moment, the engine's being serviced. So it shows right mouse click send to, and then you can see it instantly lands inside the whole queue of the Fiery you selected. Right, there it is there. So it's a very quick way to be able to move jobs from one Fiery to another if you've got, for example, another engine is busy at that time or being serviced or whatever, waiting for toner or something like that. Okay. Let's have a look into some more features in here. I'll look into optimizing performance. So the maximum number of Fiery servers that we recommend, maintaining your server list, some preferences and some other best practices. So if you're like me and you tend to roam around with a laptop connecting to lots of Fiery controllers with Command Workstation, then maybe you're an analyst in the field or supporting the Firies, in which case you might end up with this, which is a very large server list of servers that aren't even in the site where you are. If you do end up with this, you may find that Command Workstation takes longer to launch. So I recommend that remove all the connections that you're not using to improve performance. So, yeah, in general, if you're in a shop environment with 1 or 2 Firies, you're never going to see that problem. But it's for those roaming users like me. If you end up with a long server list, clean it out. And we're going to make this better in the future too, by the way. Now, Command Workstation itself, we support up to 10 Fiery connections. So if you're lucky enough to have 10 or more Firies, you can connect to all of them at once. We don't stop it at 10 though, right? So it's not like a hard-coded limit. If you've got 11 or 12, then go for it. You can connect them. We just can't guarantee the performance, right? But if you've got oodles of RAM and lots of CPU lying about and really big, a lot of network bandwidth, by all means you could try to connect to more Fiery controllers, right? But we support up to 10 at once. And the other rule of 10 applies the other way too. One Fiery controller can handle up to 10 Command Workstation connections. Again, we don't block extras, but you may find the Fiery's performance slows down if you've got more than 10 computers connected to the one Fiery at once with Command Workstation. So just be aware of that. Rule of 10 connections either way at all times. And we're going to have a look at archive jobs as well. So I'll talk to you about local versus remote archives, what's captured, and mapping drives and some best practices around that. So first of all, what's archive jobs? It takes jobs from the whole queue or whatever queue, archives them to another place, whether that be on the Fiery itself, which is server internal, or on a network location. So if you say manage, you can add a location, and I highly recommend that you archive jobs off the Fiery. Using server internal means they can be lost if someone does a clear server or reloads the Fiery, for example. So here I'm going to save it to a matched network drive. This is a secure location on my network. Saved as drive G, and set this as default. So that's what I recommend you do, is map a network drive, set it as default. And if you're like me and you've forgotten how to map a network drive because you haven't done it for ages, Windows 7's made it a little bit more hidden than before. Here's how to do it. First of all, browse your network location. So here I've got it up the top and I'm Control-C. I'm just going to copy that location. Right? Now I can right mouse click on the network icon down below and select Map Network Drive. So it asks you the path. I'm going to Control-V, paste it in, and select a drive letter. Anything you want. I like G. I'm going with G. But the most important thing here is reconnect at login. So that means Windows is going to reconnect to that share at login, which means Command Workstation on the next login can get to that location again. So now I'm archiving jobs. You see it defaulted to G. And you can also say don't ask me again, which makes this dialog go away. I'm going to click OK. Now all of those archive jobs are now being sent to that network location in the background. Now I said don't ask me again. So you'll see now if I do this once more, I'm going to select another job and select archive. You can see there's no prompt at all. They just go, right? Which is great if you know what you're doing. So if you set this up and you use this Command Workstation all the time, that's fantastic. But we have had people where you've got multiple users using the same Command Workstation client and the other users wondering where that dialog went. How can I choose the location? So the trick is there's this little button up here on the right hand side. See this archive settings. Click on that and this is where you can bring that prompt back. So I'll say always prompt for archive locations and options. That's what I recommend if you're sharing your Command Workstation with other people to prevent confusion. Right? And so now when I click on archive, it brings back that dialog. So you've always got the choice, bringing it back or hiding it if you like. Right? But it's still defaulting to G. And you can also drag and drop. So let's see, I'm just dragging onto the archive tab. And then you can choose again if the dialog shows up, don't ask me again or whatever. Right? So you can just have a drag and drop with actually no dialog at all. Very, very simple. Okay, now the archive jobs, you can see here in the archive tab, I've got full action, so I can print and hold and all that sort of thing. But every now and then you might see this. Now this is an archive job that Command Workstation can't see. That means I can't get to it on the network. Maybe they didn't map the drive. Maybe I'm on a different computer that doesn't have that mapped drive. In which case, you can add a column that's called archive path. Right, so I've added this and now I can see the exact location of that on the network so that then I can go and find the job and see if it's been moved by someone else. So I'm just going to show you, here's a job I've got. This is like an 8-page newsletter. You can see it's quite graphic intensive. And in the interest of seeing what comes out the other end, I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to archive one with the raster and one without the raster. Right? So I'm just going to remove the raster on this one. So you can see now I've got my two jobs and you can see the size already is quite different. So if I select archive and click OK, and I'm preserving thumbnails and previews, which means it's going to take the rasters if they're present, if you do that. We're going to archive both those jobs off the network. Remember, it's the same original job, I just duplicated it. One's ripped, one's not ripped. And then we're going to have a look what comes out the other end. So they're just finishing archiving now, and I'm going to browse to my location on the network. Minimize, there we go. I'm just going to open up my G drive. Okay, so here's the two jobs that I just archived, right? So you can see this is the one without the raster, and it's about 5.5 meg. If I take the one with the raster, I'm just going to look at the properties of the whole folder. It's about 92.9, 93 meg, right? So that's the difference. If you archive with rasters and you have that button that says Preserve Thumbnails checked, you're going to take a lot more room, right? So you can see the rasters are quite large there. So you might be wondering, why would I ever archive with the rasters or without the rasters? Well, with the rasters was pretty cool a couple of years back, quite some time back, when the rips weren't so fast, right? Because that meant that often ripping the job was like the biggest and most time-consuming part of printing a job, particularly large files, so that they'd save the rasters so you wouldn't have to rip again. However, these days, the rips are so fast that it honestly takes longer to transfer those rasters over the network most of the time than it does to just re-rip it. So I would recommend not ever archiving the rasters, right? So uncheck the Preserve Thumbnails thing. So even if the job has a raster, we don't archive it because, again, it's going to be faster to move over the network. And the other thing is rasters fill up hard drives. So the difference between a 5 meg job and a 93 meg job, So I recommend not grabbing the rasters, just so you can save disk space and save time moving files across the network. Also, you might be wondering what's inside this archive file, right? So you might have guessed that the file, the original source file, is this one up here, which is the 000.000. So I'll just show you. That is actually the source file, right? So if you rename it, if it was a PDF that I dragged in. If I rename it PDF, you can actually open it and it's just PDF. It could be a PostScript file as well if you've been printing from the print driver, in which case you could use Distiller to distill or whatever you like. Or it could be a PCL file if you're printing via PCL, in which case you're kind of on your own. But just in case you ever want to pluck the source file out of an archived file, go for the one with all the zeros in the name. Okay, so as I recommend, the best practices for archive jobs. Archive to a remote location. Make it somewhere safe and secure on the network. Map a drive to it for easy access in Windows. And do that across, if you've got multiple Command Workstation clients, do it across your different clients, right? So they're all mapped to drive G, so they can all easily get to those archive jobs. Skip the thumbnails to save space, right? Massive difference there. And back up, of course, the archives on the network. You can do the same thing on Mac, which is mapping drives. There's a tip there, a little link to how to map a network drive on a Mac. It's not as straightforward as Windows, but it works perfectly well. Okay. Let's take a look at some hidden gems now. So these are some features you may not have seen in Command Workstation. We're going to look at Fiery Go, Fiery Dashboard, some tricks in Paper Catalog, Backup Restore, and the Job Error Report. So first off, Fiery Go. Don't know if you're aware of it, but we have an app. We have an app for both iOS and for Android, and it's absolutely free. You can use it to monitor the status of your Firies. You can manage your jobs from anywhere in the print shop, and you can multitask between different Firies as well. So you can see it shows you a nice preview on the screen. You can flip between your jobs. You can print. It doesn't give you all the power of Command Workstation, but it's not meant to replicate Command Workstation. It's really for a shop manager. You can just check on the shop, see how things are going when you're in the field, right? And check between your multiple Firies. And you can release jobs too. You can apply a preset and release the job. Maybe it's ready to go now from that app. So if you have, it works for iPhone, it works for Android as well, iPad. Please, by all means, go and download for free. It's in the App Store and also in the Google Play Store. Another free thing that we've added as well is the Fiery Dashboard. Now, we've just added the support for this in the latest release of Command Workstation. So the dashboard gives you a heads-up view of all of your Firies at once. So you can see some statistics about what your Firies are up to, printing rates, that sort of stuff, who's printing, and things like that. Great for a multi-Fiery environment. So I'll just show you where it's hidden in Command Workstation, because it is pretty well hidden, to be honest. So under the Edit menu, we have an Authorize This Computer, right? So you can see here that it says, learn more about Fiery Dashboard, and it tells you Fiery Dashboard is a cloud-based service that monitors production, etc., etc. Effectively, what we're doing here is authorizing Command Workstation to upload your job log data to the cloud. Now, that data will only be seen by you with your own username and password which you're about to create. Right? So it's not public or anything. It's private data that can be accessed under your login. So to get to the Fiery dashboard and to create one of these logins, click on Learn More about Fiery Dashboard. So it takes you directly to the dashboard page, and here you can choose to sign up or log in if you've already got one. So I've already created an account. I'm not going to take you through the sign-up process. It's just a web page with a couple of fields. But here's my account I've created. They're always an @passport.efi.com address, and my password as well. So once you've created your account, come back to Command Workstation and authorize it. So it authorizes it to upload that job log data in the background. You can see now authorization is successful. Right, so my dashboard's ready to go. Now, of course, because this is a demo, I've prepared one earlier, which I've got here for you to see. Right, so this is a dashboard. This is a live dashboard showing multiple firies. So inside the dashboard, this has got 4 firies, this particular one. You can view jobs for all of those firies. You can also view jobs over a certain time range. Right, so hang on, did I select? Yes. Apply. So I can say, look, I just want to see jobs from this month, for example, and it shows me just the jobs that are going from this month. So that's Fiery Dashboard. I'll move on for now to Paper Catalog. So even if you use Paper Catalog every day, I might have some tricks that you haven't seen before. So, first of all, a couple of versions of Command Workstation ago, we added the ability to assign media directly from the trays and add a media from the tray. So I've just loaded in my engine, for example, a new media, A3 110 GSM. All I need to do now is just type in a name. Right? So I can say, okay, 110 GSM, and okay, I'm done. So we pick up the attributes of the paper that you already specified, like on the engine LCD, and then all you simply have to do is give it a name. So it's just that easy. We've tried to make it much easier to add things. So I'll do it again. You can see here all the entries that apply to that tray. Add new media. This time I've got A4. It's picked it up from the tray that it's white, high quality, all of that. A4 100 GSM. I'll give it a name and off we go. So it's a very quick way to add new media to the Fiery. And you can see that you can apply a color profile as well. Right? So now you can see all of the medias that can be applied to that tray and just click on it to apply another one. Very straightforward way to go through. Now, you may not have seen this view before because in System 10 and higher we added this new PPD mode into Paper Catalog. So it's under Settings, you can see Specification to use, PPD based or JDF based. Right? So PPD based means this smaller dialog where you can add new media. You can select all of your attributes, for example. They're just attributes that are relevant to your engine, by the way, and that can be different by different engines. Or if you have an older Fiery, you'll see JDF mode. Right? So if we go back to JDF mode, it's still the same thing. You're still adding paper, but it has all the fields that are relevant in the JDF workflow, not all of which may apply to your engine. So in both cases, you're adding Paper Catalog entries, but one just shows a simpler dialog, and the other one shows more detail. Now inside here, while I'm in Paper Catalog, did you know that you can drag it onto trays? So you can see here, as I drag, it actually is showing me this icon of a hand or a cross to show me which tray is applicable for that particular Paper Catalog entry. So that's dragging directly out of Device Center Paper Catalog and onto a tray right there. And then if you wanted to remove the association, you can do that simply again from the tray-based menu. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible to manage all of your Paper Catalog entries, to drag them onto trays, to assign them, remove them, and add them directly from the tray. Okay. All right, next up we're going to show backup and restore. So this is how to use Command Workstation to back up your Fiery settings. So backup and restore is inside Device Center. Under Tools, and here it is. So if you click on backup and restore, you can choose to either backup or restore your data. And here are all the items to back up. Now we added a lot of these in System 10 and higher. You may have a smaller list if you have an older Fiery. Now choose a location to save your backup. So I'm just going to save it to my desktop, and you can choose to add the date to the file name if you want. And then I'm just going to say yes, and then just replace that file. So it's creating the backup file now. So not only do you want to store this on a network location, of course, but the great thing about this backup file, apart from restoring your Fiery very quickly, is that you can actually restore this to multiple Fiery controllers. So if you had a fleet, let's say, of 5 Fieries, they have to be identical model and type, So I had 5 exact firies in a fleet. I could actually set up just the one fiery with all my presets and all of my paper catalogs and everything, color profiles, you name it. Set up one fiery, make a backup file, and then restore it to the other 4 firies to set them all up. And to make sure we actually detect when you're doing that, we can see that we're restoring to a different hardware. So in which case we do things like we reset the network IP address and the network name and the network SID, things like that, so that there's no conflicts over the network. For the other 4 firies, you simply need to restore, give them a name and IP, and you're done. They're all set up. So that's a very quick way to be able to set up multiple fiery units, again, if they're the same model and version. Right. So, as I said, restore to any fiery of the same model version, and you can also restore to any fiery of the same model and newer system version if what you're restoring is system 10 and higher. Right, so if you had a fiery that you purchased with fiery system 1.1, for example, and you get a newer update to system 2, if system 2 is system 10 or higher, then you can restore that back up from the earlier fiery. And of course, we recommend to back up regularly. All right. And here's a tip for technicians. This is anyone who's supporting the fiery or supporting a fleet. Also check out the fiery clone tool for system 8 to 10, and in FS100 and higher, we've got fiery system restore. We'll send out some more information about that later, and it's also on our website. Okay, and job error report. So this is a hidden feature that we've developed to capture troubleshooting information. So it's available under an Easter egg control. That's control and right-click on Windows or command and right-click on Mac, right? And it brings up a new menu. And this menu creates a zip archive that can be sent to your tech support by email, FTP or website or whatever method you normally communicate with your tech support for your query. So whether you're an end user who's got a problem with a job, or whether you're an analyst supporting the fiery or tech support supporting the fiery, this job error report can be used. So I'll show you how to use it. So here we are. So if I do a normal right mouse click on a job, I see the new normal actions menu. But now I hold down command key on my Mac, and you can see here, create error report comes up. So this dialog comes up, and it allows you to type in details about the problem. So I'm going to put some comments about like the logo is not printing correctly. So we hope that people will put in comments that guide us towards what the source of the problem is and what they're expecting to see. All right, so I'm seeing some transparent boxes. So I'll put that in. Now you can attach the original files. This could be anything. It could be a Quark file. It could be a zipped up InDesign file with all the resources. In my case, it's just a PDF, so I'm going to open that as well. And you can choose to attach the rasters. Of course, that'll make it much larger, the color profiles, and the email log. Now, the email log is used just for troubleshooting email problems, such as scan to email or whatever. So I'm going to click on Save. And now just choose the location for it. It defaults to your desktop, and it uses the job name, the file name of the job title. So I'm just going to add JER to that. Click on Save. And then it's saving. I'm saving as a zip file. So what it's doing right now is it's connecting to the fiery, and it's grabbing that job, and it's archiving the job. So it's creating an archive of the job with all the job tickets. It's grabbing the color profiles as well, the input and output profiles. Again, I don't recommend checking that box for rasters. It just makes the job really, really large, much harder to send about the place. Only if tech support specifically asks you for rasters should you check that. Right. So it's grabbing all of this information, the config of the fiery and all that, and saving it to creating a zip file, which is now placed on my desktop. So now let's have a look at what we've got. So here's the zip file, and if I open this one up, here's what's inside. So we've got everything from the config sheet of the fiery, right? So this is includes all of the fiery information, the fiery server configuration, for example. Also, we have the archive job that you saw before. We've got the logs of the fiery. So you've got everything from the job log to secure FTP logs, that sort of thing. And we have the engineering logs of the fiery as well. Right? And the color profiles, that's as a zip file. Right? So the color, oh, sorry about that. The color profiles are all there. Now the engineering logs are encrypted for EFI. So you won't be able to open them, or you can. It's just, you'll just see garbage. But the job log's useful for troubleshooting problems with it. Perhaps a certain user is always seeing an error. You could track down what they're printing. It has the native files in there in a folder, so that's the PDF that I attached, and then the steps as well, which is the text that the user typed in about what the problem was. So we're adding information to this, this job error report all the time. So we highly recommend you use this. So if you're ever reporting a case to EFI, or if you're an analyst who's supporting people in the field, please always ask for a job error report if someone's reporting a problem. It means we can get all the complete information about the job and what's going wrong, so that we can, turn around the problem a lot faster. So that is job error report. All right, so some key takeaways from today's session. Customize Command Workstation to your printing needs, right? Make it work for you. Remember, there's always multiple ways to get to the same thing. So whether you like to drag and drop or use icons or use shortcut keys, they're all there for you. Customize the interface and your workflows. And take advantage of the productivity boosting tools to streamline tasks. Define your preset and your workflows to automate all of your future jobs. It will save you so much time if you don't have to keep doing the same job settings over and over. And leverage from the connection to multiple Fiery servers. Remember, you can send jobs from one Fiery to another, you can search across your Fieries, you can manage all of your Fieries. So we've also got some additional resources for you. So some things, we've got online help, for example, some online resources and the Fiery forums. So I'm going to show you that. Fiery forums is my favorite. This is a forum that's absolutely free to join. We've got thousands of users in there at the moment. There's different forums such as general, color and imaging, but my favorite, of course, is Command Workstation. So inside here, you can see that these are real people asking real questions about the Fiery. So this guy's got a Java error, and another user has actually told him how to solve it. Right, so we've got end users helping each other. We've got tech support helping end users. And we've got EFI people in there as well. I'm there. So you see I'm there under myself, under Greta C, and I'm answering questions as well. So this is a great place if you've got a question about the Fiery, if you want some advice on how to set it up, and also it's a great place for feature requests. Right, so lots of the things that we've just showed you, like inline editing of copies and job names, things like that, even server presets and how they're used, all came from the forums. People asking, demanding for features. So it's a great place to have a voice and to let us know what you need. Okay, we've also got online help inside from the help menu in Command Workstation. It goes straight to online and it's fully searchable now. And of course other webinars as well available that you may have already seen. So what I'm going to do now is hand back to Yale so that she can take it from here.
Thanks, Greta. So we're going to, yeah, Greta is gonna go through some of the questions we've already received and start preparing for our Q&A as I go through this. Greta, help me out and let's show the folks. So as we've done with previous sessions, we again are offering you a free bundle of e-learning courses. It's the 3 you see listed here. Information on how to take advantage of this offer will be sent out to you, all the details you need. You'll have until the end of this year to take advantage of this great bundle, learn more about Command Workstation, print connections and utilities, as well as Fiery tools for further job management. So next slide. Thank you. Again, for all of you who attended today as well as the session 3 weeks ago about automating jobs with Karen Krepis, we have an offer of 10% discount off of a Fiery Professional Certification. You've taken the time to start learning. We want to make sure you have the opportunity to continue that learning, and we'll be sending that out to everybody who qualifies within a few days. Next slide. As I mentioned at the top of the hour, this is our last webinar for 2014. Here's a list of all the webinars we've had this year, so 9 total, a lot of information. All these are recorded and are available to you at the link you see at the bottom right. We encourage you to go there, find those recordings. We also have a lot of resources accompanying each of those recordings, which we talked about within the sessions. So lots of great information. We want to encourage you to go there, take a look, and see what's there for you. And next slide. And finally, it's not just Fiery that has great information for you to learn about the solutions you have or may be investigating. We also have MIS and web-to-print experts ready to teach you about digital storefront, iQuote, Monarch, and Pace. These are some of the upcoming webinars coming up later this month and into December. You can learn more at the link and also register. So we encourage you to check these out as well and see what further learning you can take advantage of. So next slide, I think, takes us into the Q&A. Here's a link to the forums that Greta introduced. It's a great resource. And with that, Greta, take it away and let's see what we have with questions.
Sure. We've got some great questions coming up in the chat box. Thank you for that. So I'm just going to pick some of them and answer them. So someone here has said, what version of the Fiery do you need to have to use the latest Command Workstation? So the Fiery, as I said, Command Workstation supports down to System 8 R2 Fieries. This user has asked about presets. He says, presets do not show up on my current version. That's because when we connect to the Fiery, we can see what server features your Fiery supports, and those server presets are only supported on System 10 or higher. Right? So if your Fiery is older than System 10, then server presets won't be available. However, remember, you can still use virtual printers to apply settings to jobs while they're being imported. Okay, another question we've got. Dumb question, how do you right-click on a Mac? No, it's not a dumb question. In fact, if you allow me, in System Preferences, you can go into your Mac, and I'm using a trackpad. You could also use a mouse if you had one, but I'll go back to trackpad. And it's called secondary click. Secondary click is the same as right mouse click, right? So if you've got a mouse, one of the settings would be right mouse button could be secondary click. Right, so that's how to right mouse click on a Mac. Okay, someone else has asked, we have the preview pane, but the image isn't loaded. Why is that? That's a very good question. So the preview pane, as you know, in Command Workstation, so you can see it here on screen. Right, on the right-hand side, this is showing previews of jobs only of jobs that are ripped. So if your job is not ripped, meaning it's a light yellow color, then you won't see a preview. If the job is ripped and it's dark yellow with this little icon with the arrow, then you will see the preview. So that's the difference between when you won't and when you will. We have another question about, I noticed all of your jobs are PDF. We print from Adobe Illustrator. Is the functionality geared to PDF only? No, not at all. I'm using PDFs for things like dragging and dropping and all the rest. Of course, Illustrator can create PDFs too that work perfectly well in that workflow. However, with Adobe Illustrator, generally we find people prefer doing a file print workflow. Right? So we don't support dragging whole Illustrator files natively into Command Workstation. However, we do encourage you just print it through the print driver. You can print to the whole queue or the print queue or whatever. And you can also even select your server presets and everything else directly from the print driver itself. Once you've printed through the print driver and the job is inside the Fiery, let's say it's in the whole queue, then it's a PostScript file. That means you can impose it, you can do everything else, and it shows up just like every other file in the Fiery. So that's the same for any file format, by the way. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have the application, you can print it with the driver, then the Fiery can handle it. Okay, where do you activate the Fiery Go in Command Workstation? Well, the Fiery Go is not actually part of Command Workstation. It's a separate application. You have to go and download it from the App Store or from the Play Store. However, if you have an external Fiery that's FS100 Pro or FS100 Pro, it'll already support the Fiery Go application. For an older Fiery, which is System 9 R2 and System 10, you can still run Fiery Go, but first of all, you've got to install Command Workstation 5.6 directly on the Fiery server itself, on the FASI. It adds some code in the background, which allows the Fiery Go application to communicate with the Fiery. So if it's System 9, System 10, install Command Workstation 5.6 on the FASI, Fiery Go will then work. If it's FS100, you've already got it. If it's FS150, both external and embedded, they'll support Fiery Go as well. Right now, we don't support Fiery Go on older embedded servers, anything older than FS150, I'm afraid, but we hope to bring that to you soon. There's no activation necessary for Fiery Go, by the way. Okay. We have a question, which is why is Fiery Go only for the Pro and not the simpler version? as I said, we are investigating options. We hope to make it available for embedded firies as well in the future. Okay, we have another job about archiving, another question about archiving. If we impose a job and archive it, can it be imported to another firy that does not have the impose option and print the file with the imposed settings? Yes, but I would recommend, now if you're going from one firy to another with an archive job, you can do that. You can import an archive job from another firy into one firy. But remember, we can only use the job ticket items that are applicable across the two firies. One might have finishing, one might not, one might have different features. If you want to take an imposed job from one firy that has imposed to another that doesn't, I recommend you open it in Impose and save out a flattened PDF. Then that PDF will work perfectly across the other firy with the imposition already folded into the PDF. Someone else has asked, can you please repeat about how to create a job error report? Of course. It's Control right-click on Windows or Command right-click on any job in Mac. Right? So Control on Windows, Control right-click, and then Command right-click on Mac. We have another question. Is Command Workstation supporting macOS 10.10? Yes, soon. We're working on it right now. In fact, we found a bug that we're working directly with Apple with. It affects Command Workstation at the moment, being able to type and things like that. It's a bug introduced in macOS 10.10. Again, we have a case open with Apple. We're talking with them daily. We hope to have a build out very, very shortly, even next week, for 10.10. So we're absolutely working on it. It is our top priority right now. We'll have it out very, very shortly. Okay. Another question is, why can't we see a preview from the printed queue list? Very good question. The reason is that the jobs in the printed queue do not retain the rasters. However, it's a good feature request. We've had other people ask for that, so we may look into whether we can do that in the future. But right now, no. All jobs in printed queue do not have the rasters. The rasters are discarded before we put them into the printed queue. Okay. Another one here says, I'm a graphic artist for a small town print shop. I've been exclusively printing directly from InDesign or Photoshop or whatever. It says, does the firy automatically update the imported files that have been changed, or do you have to re-import? I think you mean update as in when you've updated the Photoshop file, does the firy know that? No, it doesn't. Meaning if you've printed down to the firy and you've got those Photoshop files sitting in the whole queue, and you make changes in Photoshop, you'll have to print the job again in order for firy to know about those changes. So we're not maintaining live links into that. Another question is, what version of the firy do you need to be able to change copy quantities and all that other things in line? And the great news is any version. It works right down to System 8R2, but you need Command Workstation 5.5 or higher, right? So anytime, if you've got 5.5 or higher, these little square boxes that I'm pointing out on screen will show up. Those indicate that that field is editable, right? And so that will work on all of your firies. It's another feature you get for free. With 5.5 or higher, of course, it's in 5.6 as well. Can I show again how to drag and drop into a predefined workflow preset? Certainly. One moment. There are so many questions coming in. I'm just trying to read through them all. There was a question about how do I remove a server preset, right? I want to restate the preset with new parameters. I want to remove one and then replace it. The answer is you can do that in Device Center. So I'll just connect in here. Okay, so in Device Center, under Workflows, here's all of your server presets. So if you wanted to edit a preset, so in this case the user says, I want to restate the preset with new parameters. In that case, you can edit an existing preset, click on it in Device Center, click on Edit, and then under Job Properties, here you can define different job properties for it. Right, so you can change anything you want here. There's I'll get rid of that. So I could change this and I want a different output paper size, or I want a different tray or whatever. That sort of thing, and say OK. Now that preset has been edited with those settings that I just chose. Today, you can see that any changes will affect future jobs submitted with this preset. You want to proceed? Yes. So that's how to edit a preset. If you want to remove a preset, maybe you just don't use it anymore or you made a mistake, just click on the preset and click on Delete. That's it. and it says deleting this preset will disconnect any hot folders with virtual printers linked to it. Sure. And now the preset is gone. Okay, I'm just reading some more questions in line. Can you show again how to drag and drop into a predefined workflow preset? Certainly. Let me show here. So I'll just minimize some of my stuff in the background. So make sure you're in Job Center. Take your job and drag it onto the server itself, so the server pane here. And that brings up the import dialog, shows you all of your presets ready to go, and then you can choose your job action, process and hold, rip and hold, whatever, that sort of thing. So you can drag and drop PDF files, PostScript files, folders of jobs as well, VDP files, that sort of thing. Also, if you're curious about the file formats that you can import, inside the import, if you go File Import like this, I think, and you go Add, check this out. It shows the supported file types, right? So if you're wondering which jobs can I drag and drop, it's these ones, right? So you've got PRN files, which are like your PostScript files when you print a file from Windows, PCL, PDF, TIFF, PPML, VPS, VIPP, and PostScript and EPS. So all of those are supported for drag and drop directly into Command Workstation. Okay. Could you please update? Can you update Command Workstation through the current version of Command Workstation? Is another question there. Just keeping an eye on time. Yes, you can. If you go here, you can say Help Check for Updates. Right. So if I do that, it actually launches another application called Fiery Software Manager. Now, this Fiery Software Manager shipped in the previous release, Applications Package 4.1, which came with Command Workstation 5.5, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to update, you can do it from here. It'll check if there's anything available. In this case, there's a service pack available. And then you can click on Download, and it downloads it from the net and then installs it.
All right, so we're at the top of the hour. Greta, is there any other question you can quickly answer, or are the rest too involved?
There's quite a few which are quite involved. There's one that requires a tech support call. So perhaps it might be easier that some of those which are more involved we might get back to you individually on.
Yeah.
I
think that's what we'll do at this point. So if we did not get to your question, we do apologize. We have run out of time, and some of the questions are a little bit more involved and would take a few minutes to really get to a proper answer. So as we've done in the past with these sessions, we'll compile an FAQ, a frequently asked question document, that will have all the questions and all the answers, even the ones that we've already addressed and answered today, so that everybody has the benefit of a full FAQ. So with that, I want to thank our audience for joining us today. I want to obviously thank Greta for all the great information. I think there was a lot of great tips and tricks that the audience could go right over and take advantage of right away. We will send out a follow-up email within a couple of days. It'll include the link to the recording, other resources that we mentioned, information about the free e-learning bundle that we talked about. Of course, if you have any questions, go to the Fiery forums. Greta will be there. Others will be there to help you out. So with that, once again, thanks to everyone, and we'll see you again in 2015 when we roll out another series of World of Fiery webinars. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.